Oh, great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott! I know, this is heavy.
Hello, Heroclix land. This is a very special episode tonight. I'm Wespool here in person. We have a very bald man. You may have heard of him, Scott Cramton. He's been commonly known as the Lesser Scott, but
That's
since he's the
that's
only one to be on my show and Porter hasn't entered any of my emails, you are the Great Scott! All
fantastic.
right. So we will start tonight with our community questions. The Heroclix community reached out with a plethora of questions, so we'll get that started.
Nice.
McConnell Lamar wants to know, hey Scott, congrats on the upcoming wedding. How do
Thanks.
you go about preparing for a Heroclix event?
I really thought it was going to be related to the wedding. So there's two different versions. There's a version of me that knows I don't have time at all, and I take a closer Matty G approach where I'm just trying to be like, what do I do about a team? And then I just try to learn. I just pick and play. But the majority of the time, I'm trying to play test a bunch. Um, I try to start with a lot of times like a prime that I want to build around because I think usually it's that. Occasionally, I'll start with a individual figure that I just think is maybe the best in the format. If I go really deep into it, which is most of the time, unfortunately, I wish I could just pick and play. Some people are just like, I want to play plants, and they just build a plant team and they're done. But I'm always meta guessing. That's 90% of what I do. And the problem is like, HeroClix is a lot of rock, paper, scissors, where, if you pick rock and everybody's playing paper, you're done. So I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's going to be the meta, trying to kind of guess that. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it has worked quite a bit. I think the more time I spend, though, the better. That's usually the results. But that's pretty much it. I booked things way too early for flights and hotels. I was never booked for things last minute for that kind of stuff. So I hope that helps. And maybe that, a little bit. Half the time I do a show about it. Clicks, I usually have that.
Yeah, I listen to all your shows.
Oh,
McConnell wants to know, how do you usually play test, or who do you usually play test with?
that's a tough one. So, I have the 4 Point Gamers, but the thing about us is none of us live even within 2 states of each other. I'm in Louisiana, Ed and Isaac are in New Jersey, Matt's in Phoenix, Clay's in LA. So playing it, we talk a lot, or text a lot in a group, but man, we do not get to play test. I have the Forge up in Grand Rapids. They're incredibly good. They do nonstop, just like they've never played us. I don't think in the last 3 years they've decided to play anything that is not preparing for a tournament, even if there's not a tournament for like 5 months. Like they just go hard every single time, as hard and as good a team as possible. So if I get to go up to Grand Rapids, they're amazing. And I played with Fred and John Michael in New Orleans. John Michael took second recently in the King of New Orleans, and he took first at the Icy Regional in Alabama. I want to say it was Alabama.
So do you use Roll20 at all?
I do, but I haven't in probably 2 years. I don't love it. And I mean, I have a company about it. Camp Dragon uses Roll20. I think the thing is, I most of the time when I'm not traveling, I'm working from home. So I'm on Zoom 7 hours a day. So I have a very, very low interest in doing something that's a fun thing for me and going in and not being a person with it. I think that's a big deal. Like, HeroClix is about the community. It's not the best game. I don't think it's been one of the best games for about 15 years now. I thought it was like pre-carded. I thought it was one of the best games. Like it was deep, but like not insane. It involved real strategy. Now there's a million moving parts. A lot of times the person who makes a mistake of being like, oh, the swamp guy can jump portal, blah, blah. Oh, he has, is the person who loses. So I play it because of the community, and the community is more about being in person. So I'd rather we do things in person as much as possible. So not really Roll20.
Okay. Then McConnell's last question was, what does HeroClix, the community and the company, need to get to the next level? What do they need to do to get the next level?
When I started, it was so incredibly different. This is the most generous game ever. When I won Worlds, they flew me on a plane to the next Worlds. They had 400 people at tournaments. It was absolutely packed. I won a Galactus on a random roll-off. They just swag the floor. Norm would just stand up and be like, swag the floor. And they just give out prizes all the time. And they didn't have to be amazing. They'd just be like the LE or something like that, or they'd be or something like that. But man, I think they need to get back to the idea of caring about the community more. And we have some good people in there, like Ryan right now is crushing it. But I feel like they just avoid conflict, wish we weren't playing it, wish we were collecting it like D&D minis. And I feel like they hesitantly go into worlds half the time. They're not like some of them are excited, but like it feels like it's a battle, but pre-tops, pre the selling of it to tops, man, everybody is so on board. They had a whole guy named Wade, and they would do nothing but support Wade. He'd be like, "Hey, we need to do this for the players." And they're like, "Absolutely, whatever we can do." The beautiful rooms. We played at Wizard World. That was my first championship, was at Wizard World. And think I played the main event at the convention floor at their booth. And there was like 150, 200 people like kind of crowded around watching. So we're pretty far away from it, and it's always been sad because Topps time took a dive, but they made some good changes, and then once it got bought back by NECA, it feels like it's always been so hesitant, so you know, hoping, trying like there's so many people that do their own conventions. That's fucking weird, right? Is that not weird?
Yeah.
Like, how many Magic people are running their own New Orleans Magic tournament? Like that's not exactly how it goes, and they support it. They just started supporting it. I was really feeling great that they supported that. But geez, man, like, I went to them with like Worlds, right? And I'm like, look, it's 2020. We're not having a World. You canceled it. All I'm asking you to do is just don't say this isn't Worlds. That's it. Like I'll do a Worlds. We'll put it together. Howard's in, a bunch of people are in. Just don't say it's not. And they're like, no.
Well, the
I'm like, you
community's hungry
don't
for it
lose
too. I
anything.
mean,
What's that?
the community's hungry for it.
Yeah. But like, what did it hurt? Like, but they're like, no. No, we're not going to do it. And so just I'm like, so you'd rather just nothing than something. Like I'm not asking you for prizing. I wasn't asking for anything. Just say it's worlds. Just give the people something. It was COVID, like people had no hope, and they wouldn't do that, and then they didn't do that in 2021, and it's just like, why? Why? Why do you have to like now? I think we are seeing a change. I think there's a lot of positive direction, a lot of positive direction. A lot of it's coming from people like Ryan who are reaching out. There's some other good people in there that are really trying, and we're seeing things that are more funded. Champion Clix was not helped the first year, and now it's very helped. Um, you know, uh, uh, King of New Orleans got a lot of pricing support. And that's great. I think we're in the right direction, but what they need to do is continue to really support. And now it's at this point in time that Wespool is like, oh my God, he answers every question in 20 minutes. How am I going to get through this many questions?
Uh, okay, there's this new guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. I think he's kind of goofy, but Lucas Tom Van Holland. Is that one person or two?
I think it's three
Okay.
because the tricentennial count counts as two people.
Why is Scott so bald? Clearly much balder than I, someone with hair.
There is a curse. People don't know about it. I haven't told too many people, but almost every person who's ever really hammered me about being bald goes bald. I started going bald at like 19. It was tough, man. But Lucas, you're a bald bastard, and you know it. You know it.
Is that from your mother's side or your father's side?
Neither. I had male pattern baldness on both sides, and it was a long run of skipping a generation. Like my dad and uncle were bald. My dad on my obviously my dad, and then my uncle on my mom's side. But both of their dads had hair. Both of their dads did not have hair. So I'm like, I'm in the clear, and that was not the case.
Well, you
I
can't
was
tell it through this mask, but I started going gray in my teens, just real slowly, but early. But I had a full head of hair until I got married in my 30s, and then I was going gray and bald. I got this big, ugly bald spot right here, and I blame my wife.
Yeah, that's fair. People don't know this, but like Rogaine keeps hair 75% of the time. Regrowing hair is hard. Keeping hair is very easy. I'm in the 25% that nothing works. Nothing worked. And trust me, if you're under 21 and going bald, you will try just about anything. I would have done a voodoo curse if it would have kept my hair, but nothing was keeping the hair. Nothing even remotely slowed it down. It was rough.
Well, Scott, my dad had a full mustache for as long as I can remember. I don't think I've ever known him without a mustache. And I hate mustaches, but I can't picture him without a mustache. That's how I feel about you. I can't picture you with hair.
No, that's fair. I mean, like, I can barely picture myself with hair. I don't know if it's I don't, I'm lucky I don't have a terrible head. So, some of the people that did make fun of me, when I was going bald have like the terrible heads, like the bumpy heads, and stuff like that. So, and some of this generation wears headphones so much that their head's like informed. So, I've been lucky in that regard. I have no complaints.
Yes, you have a very
You know,
beautiful head. Do you
yes,
ever rub it for luck during a tournament?
absolutely. That's the only way I've won these tournaments. That's it.
Uh, Mark Bird from all the way down under with Australians. Hey, Scott, what has been your favorite story, your own experience or another's, of your Scott Crampton Force Pog in action?
Oh my God, somebody ran up to me in a major tournament and they're like, Scott, you won't believe it. And I had killed the world's finest. Just
Nice.
they rolled a crit and they rolled like the what so they didn't get the super senses roll, which is the neat part. Like when you roll that crit, it almost always sticks, but World Finest does have that rollout where it's just one damage or whatever if they're under or something, and they also missed that. So like I just straight one-shotted World's Finest, I believe. Which is amazing. I was always shocked they let me keep those stats. I'm like, well, I'm part of four pointers. Can I have four in everything? The fact that I have a four damage is nuts. Originally, I had the free attack, and I'm like, it's fine. Like, how am I going to get my attack replaced? And they said, actually, we have a figure coming out that could give you Sinister Syndicate. And then I would have been like the most devastating piece in Heroclix, right? Because for 4 points, run up with Iron Spider, it ended up being they were talking about. I would have literally been a dropship thing where I free attack for four damage with this Iron Spider's 12 attack. So that would have been nuts. So they had to write in that little bit at the end. But yeah, it was that was probably my favorite all-time story. I have never successfully hit with myself. Unfortunately. I want to so badly though.
I feel like
I
you're somebody
know.
that would hit yourself often.
Yeah, I know that the one regret I will have is that I did not play with my Pogs enough. Because it's very hard to get to get a Pog to get something with your face in the game, and I've absolutely not played it enough. I played it definitely some during Worlds because man, I love turning myself into Scrappy Doo. That was the best. I'm like, yeah, you killed me. Now I'm Scrappy. Uh, but yeah, that's what I have. What else you got?
Well, I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I participated in the Huntington's event last year
Yeah.
remotely, and I won a few the I won a few things in auction. And I emailed the other Scott and said, "Hey, can you sign everything I won?" And I forgot that I won your Pog. So I have a Pog with the other Scott's name written on it. So if I ever get to meet you, you're gonna have to sign the other side so it's appropriate.
So I can tell you those stories. The last 2 years, Scott's actually stayed with us in our Airbnb, and he'll bring back stuff for me to sign, which won't probably happen this year because other than I guess I have a map coming out, but I don't have like a cool Pog or something like that, right? But he'll purposely be like, "Hey, I got some more things to sign," and he'll make sure to show me him signing over my face on a Pog. Uh, and Yeah. That little minor rivalry is one of my favorite things. We also secretly have a Pokemon Go rivalry where we tend to send each other gifts from like rare places. Like I don't know if we've officially ever talked about it, but I'm always like he'll like send it from set in like Hawaii or some shit, and I'll try to send him something from like Asia or wherever. But he travels and does so many cool things that yeah, I suspect he never sends me a gift unless he has a one that's from an awesome place.
Right. Mark asks, "You have a friendly banter going with Scott Porter that's great to witness. Have you got the chance to play many games with him?"
I think I've told this story, but I will. So yes, I won the last game. I played against him, so that was a big deal, and that was sealed. And he's the thing about Scott is he's actually really good at Heroclix. But I can tell you my most embarrassing story if you want to hear it. That's honestly one of the very few ones that haunts me a little bit. But when I had won I think on my second Philly championship, and I was in LA to defend it. And then I'm in the HeroClix booth, I'm talking to like Mark or something like that, and um, Scott Porter comes by, and I've never met Scott Porter, had no idea anything about, I knew about him, but I obviously, and he's like, "Hey, aren't you the world champion?" And I'm like, "Aren't you the guy from Friday Night Lights?" Because this was season 2 of Friday Night Lights. He was there legitimately signing autographs. Like he had just kind of made it. I love Friday Night Lights. That's a true statement. I know that people say that stuff, but I think I've probably watched Friday Night Lights like 5 times. It's one of my all-time favorite shows, and that was before really Scott Porter, like before I became like it's unrelated, I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Scott Porter, and not that he's not good at it. You get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and but it's not because I'm friends with him. Then I started watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah. And he's like, yeah, Scott. I'm like, I'm Scott. And we talked a little bit, and then he's like, okay, I gotta go. And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember calling like my friends and stuff like that. I just got recognized by a celebrity. It was like the highlight of my life, right? It was honestly, and I'm not joking, one of the highest points of my life at the time. I think I was like working in a furniture store. I was like 28 or something like that. I didn't have anything cool going on other than HeroClix. Um, and my God, it was so crazy because he was good friends with a few other people, like really good friends with some of the other HeroClix players, and we ended up playing um, at his hotel or something like that. And like I ended up having an emergency call, so I missed like the whole thing. It was really weird. So then the next day, we get paired up in like a battle royale or something like that, and I'm just like I'm thrilled. And Scott's making a huge deal. It's like, oh, we got the world champion, no way to win this, yada, 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 right? And then I pulled really well. And I did everything right. And I've had like one of those nuts guys, right? Like a dark side or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. I hadn't lost a game in like a year and a half. L Literally went in, crit missed, everybody killed me. I died and I sat there and had nothing to do. They took me out in 10 fucking minutes of that battle royale. I was done. Like I didn't hit a figure. I didn't get enough. It was basically like crit miss. Okay, all right. Well, let's see how I do. And then my whole team is wiped out by everybody else. And I'm awkwardly sitting there. I want to be next to a celebrity because I'm like, it's cool and stuff like that. But I'm like, am I supposed to leave? And he made such a big deal about me being good. I mean, like the whole room is still packed. And I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, but I don't have figures left, so but I'm just like sitting there. It was so incredibly awkward. I had no idea what to do. It was so embarrassing. So when I think of Game of Scott Porter, I always think of just, I mean, he won that thing and he railroaded me, like just destroyed me. It was so embarrassing, and I was just not prepared. Everything just came apart. Like just you felt like you had the world and just lost. I mean, I think I had 11 click character. Gone. Gone. Gone before he took another turn. Just I'm still embarrassed by that. I should have left. I should have just been like, well, it was fun, guys. Like, well, maybe there'll be another game, or maybe he'll be like, we need a fat bald guy for Friday Night Lights. You never like I had never hung out with anybody famous, so obviously things are very different now, and I've grown up a little bit. But man, that's like one of the worst stories of my whole life.
That's awesome.
Good response. That's awesome. The worst story. Fuck you.
What tip would you give to someone who forgets to take their free actions regularly, other than main forcing Michael Keaton?
Um, I used to write on my hand.
Is that illegal
That's
now?
what I did. I don't know if that's illegal, but like if you see, if you see old pictures of the World Tournament, I had like poison, TK, free action, this, and I go down my arm, and it would be like writing it all the way down here because you couldn't. I didn't want to miss anything, and I did the same thing. Nowadays, what I do is there's a brief pause before anything. So they're like, I hit you. And I'm like, yup. All right, hold on. And I'm like, no prob, no prob, no prob. Does he have something? Do I have super
I
senses?
do the same thing.
Yeah, you have to pause. It's unfortunate though, because I know I'm generally considered a slower player, which is right. Um, but the game used to be like 20 turns or at least 10 turns. So the games were a lot faster and there was just less to do. So you'd miss something just because of the speed of the game. And the writing on my hand and stuff like that would be what saved it. Like, or I'd have like protected on my hand
Did you do that in
because,
college too? Is that how you got through?
no, I used a hat and I sat on my feet and cheated that way. So if you always wear a baseball cap and you sit on your feet, you're tall enough to look at other people's papers, but the hat angle means you can't see people's eyes. You just have to be consistent with it. You can't just one day show up in a hat. That's what everybody fucks up. If you're always wearing a baseball cap, nobody thinks anything of it. So, and then I usually was like, I pretended to be a really good student. Those are how I actually got through college.
Well, you're a good actor then.
Yeah.
Ethan Jacobs asks, "How is someone who only takes one turn a game so successful?"
Well, because if I go first, you never get a turn. It's hard to lose. It's
There you
hard for
go.
you to win if you never get a turn. Um, I am. There's a lot of reasons I think I'm successful. I do think I'm one of the better meta guessers in the game of HeroClix. I think that I often bring a team that's challenge like that is better at this exact moment, if that makes sense. Um, and I also have a very strong principle that I almost never talk about, which is based on my ability to win the game, it's how risky I will be. So I'll take George Masu type shots on a 9 or a 10 if I feel like that's my only way to win the game. And I win those little extra bits because I never I never quit on a game. I basically never scoop. I once had a tournament where um, I had paramedic left. If you remember paramedic, 0 damage, and he had 120 point atom smasher left. And he charged. He's like, "All right." I'm like, he's like, "Do you concede?" I'm like, "Nope, you got to get her." And he's like, "All right," and he charged me and crit missed himself and died, and I won with just paramedic.
Nice.
And there's always that kind of, you always have that puncher's chance, right? So you always got to go for it. But yeah, I think I'm successful and I don't miss a lot because I do play slower. I mean, Denny is from the Forge is very, very similar. He wins a lot of games because he makes about 0 mistakes because he only took 2 turns, maybe 3.
Yeah, I was playing with Brad Broyles on Roll 20 one time, and I screwed up bad and just got demolished and was ready to wipe the game. And he said, "No, we're seeing this through because I could crit miss, or you don't know what could happen. In a tournament, it's all about points. You could get enough
Yeah.
points to move on."
Yeah.
So,
I have absolutely won games I should have lost and lost games I should have won. 100%. I mean, sometimes it's just like time, and you're like, wasn't that 20 minutes? But I'm like, I guess I'm up on points, even though all my characters are dead. And I've definitely lost games like that too. So you never, almost never sweep unless it's testing. Then,
yeah.
fucking get to a new game.
Adam Majowski, uh, out of all the modern teams you've made over the past few years, which one was one of your favorites?
I've almost no memories of my teams. I don't remember stuff like that. I will tell you the worst team I've ever played was against Lucas, and it was they call it Heroclix for Huntingtons now, but it was The Rock, right? And it was Faust, Quinjet, Mixelplix, which ascent, and I think like somebody who leapfrog or something like that, who pushes Mixoplex in the wall, and quite literally, I'd hit the Faust roll. I think you were allowed to re-roll it back then, and if I somehow missed it, Mixoplex would go out there, do the pulse wave where everybody gets 2 action tokens, and I probably had maybe 1 or 2 opponents that took a turn. Like it just never happened. They were I was never attacked. That's not a team I'm proud of. That shouldn't have existed. And then I was just Quinjetting everybody out and just, shooting them with that. And it was the most ridiculous amount of control. And the reason I remember that is it was Lucas's first tournament, and he sat there and didn't play a turn. He didn't have us. He's sitting there and he never took a turn. I was just playing with myself, which
Yeah,
is normal.
you like playing with yourself, right?
True, yes. You can play with me too. I have 2 pogs.
If Brian Poling had a HeroClix figure, what would it do?
Quit. Free action quit. I love Brian Pulling. I wish he was wish he's back. He finally let me off the hook. He's like, you've never beaten me, Scott. And I was forever like, how? How have I never beaten you? And he's like, we never played. We were at tournaments together. We never played. We hung out a lot, but we never played. I have no memory of like who I play. I only remember a couple bad beats and maybe 1 or 2 wins. And the rest I just let pass.
Nice. Uh, PJ Bolin,
Never heard of him.
best
Next.
judge in the game.
That seems unlikely.
I think you share a pog with him.
No, I think it was Lucas, Scott, and Friends. I always thought Friends was strong.
Occasional podcaster.
Occasional podcast, yeah.
What Clix figures did you have the most fun playing? Not necessarily the best or your favorites, just ones that you generally enjoyed the most.
I loved Prime Alocia Craven. Prime Alocia Craven. I always have loved the original Lockjaw from Fantastic Forces, both that and the card, the new card one, legacy card. Loved Joker, loved the Icons Joker, and then I always viewed my signature pieces were Iron Fist from Fantastic Forces and Jean Marie Bovia, which was like the LE of Aurora, I want to say from like Mutant Mayhem. Those are all older figures. I'm definitely pulling some older figures right now. Spot's pretty fun. I just played Spot. He's nuts.
Oh my goodness. I
He
just
should
played
not.
him in a BR last Saturday and I cleared 360 points in one BR.
Wow. Yeah, he's him with the Hell Cycle, or even just him with Sidestep from the Hell Cycle, him with Hyperspeed or Sidestep, both nuts. What I didn't realize until I actually played him was how incredibly useful it is to move terrain around,
Yes.
how incredibly like how his like thing sets up so much easier than I thought. Because I always pictured him running at you, but if people run he runs at the team, but if you run at him, he was like he was next to King Shark, and I think King Shark missed him or whatever, camo, and I got to flurry with him on camo, and then I got to flurry for free on like with through the object and killed like I killed so many things and my damage output was 5 each time. So that was a 20 damage attack. That shouldn't be possible out of a figure that's quintessentially um 70 points, with
What
the
makes
butt.
him even stronger is the outwit. I would outwit somebody's defense, flurry them, pull them into my kill box.
Mhm.
Then I'd have a poison sitting right there to poison them, and then I'd flurry again.
Yeah. It's nuts. It doesn't make it shouldn't even exist, but it's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Lou Minotti. Where does Ryan Redmond keep his balls? Are they in Christine's purse?
No, no. I think he rests them carefully on the heads of his other podcasters.
I don't know. I
I
just kind of picture him just throwing them
Ryan's a,
over his shoulder and just.
Ryan's a big dude. I assume he has like a wheelbarrow and other smaller people carry them. I assume him going to the bathroom is like a 3-man job.
All right, and then there's this asshole that lives here in Indiana that wants to know is Robbie McCants. Uh, can Scott kill Wespool for one of his murder mysteries?
I mean, sure, I can kill a lot of people. I've fake killed more people than anybody alive. So I
Well,
can
he's
definitely
just
work.
bitter because during our BR, he had a bunch of wall crawlers on his team, and I picked a map with no walls. So he bitched about that for 40 minutes. What are you doing here? Oh, oh, oh. Man, who got that guy in here? Jesus, he's such an asshole. Hey, everybody, this is Wes Robertson. We're going to take a brief break and come back and talk with Scott Crampton about real questions. All right. All right, welcome back to Talkn Clix Part 2. Hello, Scott.
That's my rock impression, real quick.
All right, so I am actually Wes Robertson. I kicked Wespool out because he annoys me.
It's fair.
Scott, would you like to go over the clicks related questions or non clicks related questions first?
Sure, let's do clicks. We're on the roll.
All right. So, okay. What this is I found AI. I talked to Kevin, the Kevin, and we developed the ultimate clicks questionnaire. Everybody knows who you are, they know your name, but they don't really know you. Are you
I
brave enough to
doubt
be
everyone.
known by the community?
Yes,
All
I can be
right.
known.
All right, let's put you in the hot seat.
All
Clix
right.
questionnaire. How did you discover HeroClix and what keeps you in the game?
The community keeps me in the game. Definitively, I have so many good friends here. Just it's a host of great people that I really love spending time with. I guess I discovered it. I started playing first one. I actually got some of the promos that they handed out, like the actual original Batman, Spider-Man. Like I got those at a convention. So like before it actually dropped, I had some of the actual figures. And then my friend and roommate at the time, Todd Group, brought some of it back because I couldn't afford anything. And we started playing, and I just became really obsessed with it.
Cool. Uh, so as of today, what is your most proud HeroClix moment so far?
I don't know, man. Like, I have a hard time ranking proud moments. I really like how much money we've raised for HeroClix for Huntington's. That's definitely up there. Maybe when Isaac won his first championship, that was amazing. That was one of the best days ever. Just seeing him win that and taking him out for, a shake and stuff like that, like way past his bedtime.
How old
That
was he
was
when
really
that one?
cool. I want to say 11,
Wow.
but he and younger. He was young, young. Like he was young. Like I like he was like carry his tray for him when we get food young. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, oh yeah, that's right. He was because somebody made the joke that became very common that was like ages 12 and up is the thing on the boxer at the time, and he's technically under 11. So they're like, we need to disqualify him. That was amazing. I mean, yes, I've won some championships and those are nice. I'm always proud. I think I'm proud of myself for going to the first one because I slept on the floor. I did not have the money. Somebody kind of sponsored me to go unofficially, just kind of let me crash on his hotel room floor and didn't pay for gas, just rode with him and, could barely afford my admission ticket in. And I played and I never lost a single game, which I'd never been to a tournament, had no idea how they were going to run. And that was really nuts. And that changed my life quite a bit. So, somewhere in those, I think the Isaac one's the most memorable. I've always been very thrilled with the HeroClix for Huntington's charity auction stuff that we do. I take a great pride in that, like the Scott Porter special figures and the fact they always go for a decent amount and stuff. That always means a lot.
Would you say you're more lucky or good?
I don't think that you ever win a championship without having at least one time that you should have by all rights lost a game and you win it somehow. It just really never happens. So I'd probably say that I've been more lucky. But I'm a good player. I've played a lot. So I'm well past the 10,000 hour threshold. So if I focus on it, I can be competitive with anybody, I think. But if you wonder how I won the championships, I've definitely strung together more luck, a lot of luck.
If you were to add a power to the PAC, what power would it be and why?
Oh man, I'd want something that somehow can stop nonsense. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Um, I don't want to say it's like auto hit. Maybe it's something like re pick a range attack, pick a target, power action, pick a target, -2 to your attack. This character has no defensive powers. Something like that, or they can only use reducers, but they cannot like -2 to your attack, but they cannot evade it, cannot shape change it, cannot super senses. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you still get your stuff and the roll is a little bit harder, but I really truly despise some of the crazy nonsense of shape change super senses, where it's like suddenly you're like, wait, is that a plus? So wait, Spider-Man can't outwit I can't outwit Spider-Man's super senses, but he's legitimately a four, five, six. No, I'm sorry, you said a two, three, four, five, six, and he hits it. I hate stuff like that. I think that that's just terrible for the game.
So you must really hate my favorite character in Heroclix, the time dilation Spider-Man.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he fortunately they didn't make him overpowered, but yeah, I mean, I don't like anything that's invincible and is so luck based. This game when it came out was supposed to be, a lot more mech warrior, and they've added more and more things that are luck, luck, luck. That being said, it's often the same people at the top tables. I'm not saying it's just luck to get there by any means. But I don't love the facet of those games. And I always do wish that HeroClix would be more aggressive about banning stuff. I wish they were around the same time as Magic. They would just be like, nope, done. 80% of the field is this character, done. And instead they seem to let it go until after it's a problem, which is one of the weirdest concepts I've ever thought of. They like will it be Thanos and Apocalypse and Worlds only. There's like three teams in all of Worlds, and like you had to play one of those like 2, 3 years ago. Stuff like that.
But what I don't understand is why it has to get that far before they pay attention. Like, supposedly there's a
Well,
design
yeah,
crew
PJ is
that
doing
goes through
stuff
a
now, so
play
maybe
testing
it'll help.
phase. Like, there should be checks and balances before it even hits production.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's some of it's apathy, some of it's confusion. Some of it's like, me being a dick too. I've pushed, when you're making a figure, you're like, you want to make it good. So I'm guilty of that too. Like 4 points for enhancements, probably almost too good. But then I was able to add 10 things to my Pog. So like, I'm a dick too about it. I think PJ will, in all honesty, fix a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it might take a year or two. But yeah, and any character just needs to be immediately banned if they're terrible, except for a clause that makes them impossible. Like, so for like Legion, where he keeps making a chain thing, and saying like he keeps making Prime Legion. Prime Legion is god awful, but he has that one power, and if you break it, you can create infinite combos. I don't think any infinite combo should ever exist in HeroClix.
I think those days are past because I feel like the last time that happened, HeroClix put a kibosh on it real fast. So,
I mean,
um,
they have one right now with the zombie unicorn.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'm playing it because the chances, I think it's like 20 or 30% chance of it happening. But if it does happen, that means that you've won the game and nothing's, like you won the game without really attacking or doing anything. That's awful.
yeah.
It's just, you know.
What's a character that you feel like has been made several times, but they've never gotten the right flavor of it from the source material?
Stiltman.
Was
Stiltman.
was that?
Stiltman. They're getting closer, but I want more Stiltman. Stiltman's my favorite. So I feel like they make Stiltman not enough, and they always like it seems like the most obvious thing Stiltman would have is a really big charge. I mean, am I wrong? If you had legs that were 100 feet tall, the one thing you'd be great at is charge. Even if you're not hitting for a lot, you could definitely move and attack. I'm so confused about that. I feel like you should have that. I feel like because he's so tall, it should be like super, like there should be something where he's a little bit more evadey. He's a weird character, but I think Stiltman's the funniest character ever. So I think that's honestly why I like him. I am trying to make a Lady Stiltman thing work. And also, the best thing ever, by the way, is Lady Stiltman. So good.
It's the
So
dumbest name
delicious.
ever.
It's so amazing. Not Stilt Woman, not Lady of Stilts. Nope. Lady Stilt Man and man. So there should logically be a man Stilt Man, which I love.
So I
My
know
dream
that
has always been zombie.
I know that when you guys are going to a competition, you build like you have everything, right?
Yeah.
So when you're not building for a tournament and you're just playing for fun, what's the not the figure, the character that you're reaching for the most? Are you reaching for a Superman? Are you reaching for a Batman? Not a particular version of it, just
I
what
don't
character do you like the most?
particularly, yeah. I, I don't love comics in the same way that everybody else loves comics. I think in Heroclix, I actually like the strategy element to Heroclix more,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact they're superheroes is a nice secondary. I like superheroes, I like the Marvel movies. I do read some comics. I actually have recently gotten kind of a decent comic book collection of like some of the older stuff, more for investment purposes than anything. But I mean, other than like things that I find hilarious, which is mainly Stiltman, there's nothing that I always am trying for. But generally, I'm looking for like, I'm like, how can I have barrier on my team? What can be defensive? I really, really, really always want people coming to me. That's my biggest thing. But I don't have that really. I'm not like, yay, this. I have characters I like. I like Catman a lot. I like the Secret Six. I grew up liking Ghost Rider, Vengeance. I wish there was a good Vengeance. But I don't have those things quite as much as other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I get very excited for movies and the TV shows and Daredevil and stuff. But I don't know. I've never been like, I gotta play Daredevil now. That's not never been my thing.
All right. Okay, so Beetlejuice has been in the game for a minute now, and the sky has not
Hmm.
fallen. Um,
Yeah.
Now that he's been played, he's been in tournaments, people kind of figured him out. Are you still on the bandwagon with Miles Kane that Beetlejuice is the worst thing for the game ever, or have you kind of settled down on him?
I don't know if I ever said Beetlejuice was like the worst thing ever.
Miles Kane
I
did.
actually think, yeah, okay. Well, that Miles Kane doesn't know what he's talking about. He should have Ryan Reynolds balls on his head. That's what he should
I
do.
agree.
Um, so I actually, I obviously love Isaac, but when you play against Isaac, Isaac is Captain Free Action. And the amount of stuff that he does in a turn, even when he's going at his unbelievable lightning pace, can be like 20 minutes. And it's 20 minutes of not him thinking for 1 minute. It's 20 minutes of him doing free fucking actions. And it's amazing how many he can come up with because he was built in the game and stuff. I actually think free actions are a problem. I think there's way too many of them. I don't think the game was ever really designed to have almost any. I think the free actions were supposed to be like perplex. You know what I'm saying? Like that was kind of the free actions. They weren't supposed to be like a myriad of now have a free attack and oh, I can sidestep, pick up this object and now throw it at you. Hold on, all this different bullshit. Like, so I think, I actually think Beetlejuice is good for the game now. What I know people don't like is the idea of Chair Panther being what feels like a necessity. So then theme is going a little bit more out the window, but I like that too. I actually think Beetlejuice is great for the game. I hope they don't change a thing about him. I do hope that they make a few more characters like Chair Panther that limit sideline a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think that's important. But no, I think he's great. Should you be able to call him in with like is autonomous a problem? Autonomous is a problem, as are free actions. And I think it's really funny that an autonomous character is what brings in the guy that says no free actions, because autonomous is the other problem. And I think almost everybody feels like autonomous is the problem. That's why they've made one autonomous figure, I believe, in the last like 6 sets or whatever.
It's the first one
Unfortunately,
I've
they made
seen since I started playing. I started in 2020.
really okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I
there's
feel
never
like there's more,
been
but I mean,
one until Time Breakers.
there was some in Wonder Woman because, like the Wonder Woman had like the autonomous stop sign, or not the stop sign, the autonomous catcher's mitt, I
Okay,
believe.
so I started just after Wonder Woman came out. So I never owned a Wonder Woman brick. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but autonomous shouldn't happen. If you have to pay more for Beetlejuice, you have to pay the cost of the power action, power action, power action, then it's probably he's much more balanced, but he's still good now.
I I get frustrated when people complain about Chair Panther being a necessity because of Beetlejuice. I If Beetlejuice didn't exist, Chair Panther would still be a necessity because of one shots and mimic and all this crap that they just put out there to bulk up the sideline. If there's something to shut down a third of the sideline, I'm playing it.
Yeah, I think that sidelines are. I think that was a clever thing by Heroclix to make the sideline better because then you have to own a bit more. There's more options in the game without it having to be like, oh, this character has to be broken in a different way. This allows broken in a interesting way, uh, Destroyer and Absorbing Man and Flash or Reverse Flash, those kind of things. They're broken, but in a different way.
Right.
So,
Um, One last uh, HeroClix related question. Um,
mhm.
you've heard of the Red, White, and Clicks event last November. Do you plan on attending this
Yeah.
year?
I'm getting married this year, so and I've started to do some cool stuff for Blumhouse and things like that. So I'm having a hard time getting to things like Hero Clicks for Huntington's. I'm going to do it, but it's the week before my wedding. I support all these events. I love them. I even literally paid somebody's entry fee into the Portland event because I said it on the podcast. I'm like, I would literally rather just pay somebody if you want to support and me not go. And somebody's like, I'll take you up on that offer. And you took a second. But I can't go to everything. I love going to HeroClix tournaments, and I do more than I think most people do
Hmm.
over the course of think over the course of history, I've probably gone to the most, I would believe. I don't know if anybody's gone to more than me.
Lucas.
And if it is, buddy, no, because he started playing. I had been going to tournaments for almost
Oh,
a
that's true.
decade before he started, and I didn't miss one for almost a decade. Lucas does a lot of tournaments, but he'd still need at least 5 years to catch up on me, I think, at his pace. And you know, um, Ed might be the only person. Because there's not a lot of there's some people that say they played for this, but when you talk about like high level players, most of them have started in the last 10 years. Very few of them started 24 years ago or so. Ed did. So Ed might be have gone to more tournaments than me. So, but I'm definitely in the top five.
Well, if I'm not lucky enough to have you in attendance at my event, I would sell for a consolation prize if you could pull some strings and get the other Scott to come.
I know we have the same name, but I'm not his agent. And the fact that Scott's able to like I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about him, but I will say that the fact that he's always able to figure out how to get to these tournaments is amazing because I work with a lot of actors now, and they pull their schedules all the time. I know he was talking to me, and they wanted him to stay for like I think a Ginny and Georgia thing and during one of the HeroClix tournaments, during one of the HeroClix for Huntington's, but he's so committed to that charity and it's such a personal thing for him that he was able to, basically tell the director of a major series no, which is tough in a polite way, obviously,
Right.
polite professional way, but like,
Yeah.
that stuff happens a lot. Film stuff happens a lot, and he definitely sacrifices hard to get there. So I don't know. I think it's impressive he goes to one. Um, but there's a better. What I can do is I'm happy to if you send me information, I'm happy to promote it on the podcast because I do think tournaments are great for the community. I love that they're happening. When is this upcoming one?
November 15th and 16th.
Okay, I mean it's definitely possible. What location again?
Lafayette, Indiana.
What's that?
Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay. I got excited. I'm like, Lafayette, Louisiana. I could make it there pretty
No,
easy.
the Greater Lafayette.
So yeah.
In fact, that's the name
Mm.
on the sign when you drive in. It's Greater Lafayette area.
I don't know. I'll put you a challenge on the food.
I bet.
I think my Lafayette's winning on food. But all right, what else you got?
All right, so non-clicks related. What is the Speakeasy Die Softly, and what awards is it nominated for, and which one are you most confident to win?
The whole I have no confidence with any of them, although likely best press agent is probably the one we're most likely to win, because we have a really good, kind press person. But it's nominated for three different awards. It's just a local thing, nothing too big in New York. It's not like a Tony or something like that. But I was excited because I haven't been immersive theater doesn't get nominated for a lot of awards. There's just not a lot of awards, and our stuff tends to get passed over quite a bit, despite the fact that it's very immersive. But the same thing that makes people come to it, which is, the murder mystery element, is the same thing that makes people feel like it's not avant-garde enough to win an award. So Speakeasy I Softly is our Times Square murder mystery show. So I have a show in Times Square that runs. It's right at Carmine's. We do 5 shows a week. It's probably the biggest thing I have going on, and yeah, it's nominated for a big award for best immersive show, which is the only award it should win. Um, so there's two other ones that are great. 20 Sided Tavern is the one I've been to. I suspect they have the inside track to win. I do think our show is more immersive, but 20 Sided Tavern's a lot of fun, and best of luck to them too.
What was it like being on Shark Tank, and did you get the endorsement or offer that you were hoping for?
I definitely did get the offer I was hoping for. I went in with originally I was going to go for almost half of what I asked for. And I got some good advice from somebody who was on the show, and he's like, if you go in with those numbers, Scott, they are going to not buy it because they are going to think you are weak, and they're going to be confused. So I went in after he said that. I actually did a real offer, and I was originally going in for I think 10% for that offer, and then at the last day or so, I ended up going down to 5%, figuring that they would offer me 10, and that's actually exactly what happened. So, yeah, so I definitely got the offer. I didn't know Blum was going to be on there until quite literally the day before. And I was so thrilled. Like, it's weird because he's only done, basically 1 day on the show, because they filmed both special guest episodes same day.
Right.
So, and I don't know his plans, but I don't think he's coming back for this season. And I don't know if he's ever doing it again. So for me, as a big horror fan, I was, or honest to God, a big Blumhouse fan. And it was so weird when he was like, let me tell you about me. Which would be, I don't know, like Superman being like, let me tell you about me, Superman. I can fly. I'm like, I'm aware, Superman. I have seen the flying and the jumping high. I've seen it all. I'm a fan. So, it was really crazy to be able to get that. And it's been going great. I got to do a dream project at South by Southwest. I did something at the presser, which I'd never been to a presser, but I did a press release event for Speak No Evil with like James McAvoy was like just right there the whole time, which is cool. So for me, this is a big deal. For Scott Porter, it's like Tuesday, but for me, big
Right.
deal.
Tell me about the New Orleans Ghostbusters and where can we watch it?
All right, so it just got filmed. Um, I haven't talked about this almost at all. I just posted it finally a little bit. So, I don't know if you did, but I made all these movies with my friends growing up. That's what we did. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do a lot of parties. I made movies. That's what I did. And I had always dreamed so much of like, I want to do just one movie with my friends. And it's like, so it's almost sad right now when I say it that it already happened. Because I've been looking forward to it for so long. But I got my groomsmen together. I'm like, look, if you want to do it, this is what I'm going to do. This is my bachelor party. It's no strippers. It's us making a Ghostbusters fan film. And
That might
why
be the dirtiest
Ghostbusters
thing I've
was
ever heard.
it's up there. It's definitely up there. Honestly, it is a king of, and the fact that India was so incredibly supportive of it was mind blowing to me. I mean, she was there doing makeup, she's in the movie, like but I hired like a real crew. Like there was nothing filming in New Orleans for some reason, and I have like 13-person union crew. It's like a
Wow.
real ass movie. Like there's $100,000 camera that is being filmed on and stuff like that. Each of the lenses were like 50,000 each and stuff.
Jeez.
Rentals, of course. Well, not the camera, but the you know.
Yeah.
They literally shot Star Wars on that same camera, so it looks fantastic. I just saw the first 3 minutes of it, and we're premiering it at the wedding.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing. So May 24th is when will be the first screening of it, and I'll be submitting it to like a couple fan fests before I put it like on, just normal viewing for YouTube. Because a lot of times they want like a premiere or something like that, and if you put it on YouTube, they just say, "Well, it's on YouTube. We're not going to put it in our festival." So I'm going to at least look at it. But yeah, I spent way too much on it. It was an absolute dream project. It was amazing to be there with my friends, and that I'd grown up with, and us having like real costumes and a VFX person and like, multiple people running cameras. It was crazy. It was one of the greatest moments of my entire life. It was 6 days, and I cherished every one of them.
Well, congratulations on that. I'm sure it's very exciting. I'm excited to watch it. So, um,
Yeah, absolutely. If you watch it and then one more friend, I'll have at least two people that watched it.
there you go. Tell me about working at Art Van Furniture and having to hide from your boss to take calls from clients for your murder mystery company.
I guess at that time, I had like 10 different jobs at one point in time. And the same time that HeroClix Tops basically just left HeroClix for dead, what I had just been hired in as a game designer. My first set, they said, was likely going to be Hammer of Thor, if not some sort of Arkham Asylum, Arkham project with Batman. I've been hired in. I was going to do it. I won the whole thing. Like it was a big thing with hundreds of people entering and stuff, and they picked me and one other guy. And then that went away, and all my jobs went away. It was like the economic crash, and I lost just. I mean, I want to say like I lost everything because I mean I didn't hit like a rock bottom. I wasn't like an alcoholic or a meth head or something. But I had all these kind of like I worked at a haunted house. I lost that job. I worked at I used to teach kids creative writing, and that program dried up the second that the economic downturn hit. So I found myself working at the job I could get, which was a full-time commission salesman at Art Van Furniture. So we made 100% commission, 100%. There was absolutely no other. We got, I think it was $10 a day or something like that. So I'd work, 10, 12 hours and get a $10 paycheck if I didn't sell anything that day. So, you had to sell, and I was there open to close, at least 5 days a week, sometimes six. And man, and then I started getting these calls for the only thing I had left, which was the murder mystery thing. And because it was such an economic downturn, because everybody had all this free time on their hands, I did the thing that I've been pretty good at my whole life, which is being excited enough about something that it gets other people excited about it. And I kept talking about it, and then people would like, well, let me read the script. I'm pretty good at this, or I can help you with the web design. And it was like I was running the company with all of their help, like 20, 30 people's help. But the bosses were a little bit like, well, you still got to do your job. And I was like, absolutely. But I realized that if I took a call, I would make more money than a customer at Art Van. So I had an elaborate system where I basically there was a chair that had just never shipped out. I think they just lost track of it and they had put it in a crate. So I made an opening in the crate where I could sit in this chair, put the crate back. So I was in a small box and I would be taking phone calls for the company. And then if my name got paged or something like that, I would have a secret text with one of my better friends, Erica, who ended up helping me do the company too and was like a poster child. Later, her actual child became the first person on a poster for our Princess Party company. But yeah, like it was a crazy time because it kept getting bigger and bigger. And then eventually I sat down with my sales mentor, James, and he agreed to go over the finances of the company to see if I could quit. And he's like, "You're probably not going to be able to, Scott." At the end of it, he's like, "I think it's a little crazy, but you should quit. You can make it, and I did. And, one of the most amazing things about that is my boss at Art Van, Art Van actually closed. Art Van's gone.
Yeah.
The whole furniture chain, which was huge in Michigan. But my boss at Art Van just won in Salesman of the Month at my company.
Oh wow.
So he works with people. Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to have him and he's crushing it. So he's the one who hired me in. And when he was down, I got to hire him, which was really amazing.
Well, Scott, I'm a little heartbroken because I really expected that one to catch you off guard.
Oh yeah, no, I can't. There's really no questions that I won't have a long-winded answer on.
Um, I got that information from my wife's cousin, Jordan Henderson.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
One of my bosses at Art, oh, that's crazy. I had just done I had just had an article come out about me, so I thought you had just done that one, because they mentioned it that article. Wow. So Jordan knew about that?
Yes. And
That's
I
crazy.
I knew that you guys knew each other
It was
for
cool
almost a
boss.
decade. And so since I began Heroclix, I knew you guys knew each other. And I put that in my back pocket for the last 5 years for the perfect opportunity to pull it out. And you let me down with your reaction.
Because I knew sorry, like it's a story. I'm sorry, man. You should have said I know Jeff Burnett. That blows my mind. How is he doing? That's crazy. I guess I still follow him on Facebook, but he doesn't post a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the cool boss. He was like he was like the Jim from The Office boss, if that makes sense, you know?
Well, if you ever want
He
to
had that kind
get back at him for something, tease him about his pen collection.
he has a pen collection.
He has a
That's nerdy.
crazy expensive pen collection. Like
Wow.
ink pens, like
Okay.
super
What is he
fancy ink
doing now?
pens.
Probably isn't as entertaining for people, but what's Jordan Henderson doing right now?
So he's my wife's cousin. Oh, I haven't seen him in like 3 years. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
but
But yeah, I'll
but
make fun of his pen collection.
yeah,
That
we were all in
he
Georgia
doesn't seem.
together for a family thing, and everybody went off to a theme park. He went off to some store to pick up this fancy pen, and he was so proud to show it off to us all when we got back with our sunburns.
Well, he's definitely gotten nerdier. Um, here, you watching right now, I want to know this. You debate which is nerdier, a incredibly expensive pen collection or a Ghostbusters movie with your friends. I want to know which one's nerdier to people. I say pen collection.
Okay,
I
the
think pen
fact
collection.
that it was your bachelor party, I think that is a factor.
That is a factor. Include that in the factor. Include that in the factor.
If you rather dress up and play Ghostbusters than see strippers, I think that.
Well, I am older. I've seen strippers before. But I've never made a Ghostbusters movie. So,
There you go. How did you meet India? Does she play Heroclix, and when is the big day?
May 24th. She does not. She would. I've thought about teaching her. It's such a slodge to teach somebody. But
Yeah.
maybe sometime down the road when we're not planning a wedding. I bought Lorcana cards and I was going to teach her that. And she did start picking that up. I don't know. I don't know. I've been in debate if, help me out and put in the comments if you think I should do something like that to actually teach her. But God, it feels like a made up game when you're teaching somebody. I'm like, no, 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 you can't do that. And you're like, you just said I could do that. I'm like, no, but there's an exception. And then she'll be like, how does this work? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, haven't you been playing 25 years? I'm like, yeah, but nobody knows. I will always remember this. We are playing a battle royale, okay? I bought like 4 packs of an old set. Me, George Masu, Steven, who was part of the rules team, Patricia Lamb, arguably one of the greatest female players of all time. The four of us are playing a battle royale, and one of the head judges is watching. Twice in a battle royale for an older set, we had questions that the five of us could not answer. Twice. An interaction in a battle fucking royale that we couldn't answer. I mean, there was like 8 world championships in that battle royale, and nobody had it. And 2 people in there have their name on the rules fucking book, and nobody can answer. I've always questioned. India actually was our Baltimore director, and I had known of India, and we had followed each other on Facebook for a long time, or Instagram, or whatever. And our we had met for the first time face to face at a director training when she became the Baltimore director. And I got the Shark Tank thing, and we had really hit it off. It was weird. Like, one of the things is I never, ever, ever, ever had dated anybody that had worked for me. Now, she was debatable because she's a subcontractor in a different city. Technically, as a CEO or the founder, everybody works for me, technically. But, I don't see these people. I like realistically, I could go a whole year, say 1 or 2 sentences to her, and that would be very normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she was directly under me or a secretary. It was like a Mad Men situation. So I very hesitantly, spent a little bit of time with her. We just kept texting. I don't even remember how we started texting. We texted just nonstop, like throughout the day. And, it was very clear she was texting me. And, there was some interest there. And I tried to put really things on Front Street. Um, but our first real date was Shark Tank.
Oh wow.
So the Shark Tank thing was like legitimately our first thing. Um, and then we went to the Magic Castle. I remember I got her this glass flower thing, and I picked it out with my friend's wife, and she's like, Scott, whatever you do not give this to her right away. If you're in the weekend and you want to give it to her later, do that, but do not give it to her in like the first few minutes because you're going to seem like a desperate idiot. And literally, like, we sat down to dinner and I'm like, I got you this flower. Like, just right away. But that's one of the reasons I knew she was for me because she's not big into games. She's not big into doing that kind of stuff. She's very direct, open, honest, and it's amazing.
Cool.
So a lot of information there, but that's all your 3 questions there.
Um, so I'm not saying you look like him, but there's something about your delivery and
You
stories that reminds me of Kevin Smith.
Yes, that's totally fair.
Have you gotten that
I get that
before?
compared. Oh yeah, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. Kevin Smith, yeah, Kevin Smith, man. He's one of my heroes, man.
Me
That's
too.
me doing Kevin Smith there. Like, I just need to add man. Yeah, I train of thought talk a lot. I always have something to say. I can always pitch something into a story. It's always the same. It's the same thing with Kevin Smith. I even use some of his things. Kevin Smith. I've always wanted to meet him and tell him this. I've been in the same room with him 5 or 6 times, but I've never really met him, which is sad for me. But he came up with this thing that helped launch my company. I don't think I've ever told this story, but in Kevin Smith and Evening Harder, he did this idea where he comes on the DVD track, right? And he's like, hit the play button kind of thing. But the video goes, the DVD home screen goes for like 15 minutes. And he like leaves, he gets frustrated, he brings out a chair, he reads a paper, and he's like this. And I thought it would be so cool if a website did that. So the very first website the murder mystery company ever had, I said, "Greetings, detective. Welcome to the murder mystery company. Feel free to click one of these links to find out more information. Go ahead, click it." And it's like a 20-minute video, like one shot, single shot, 20-minute video. And people would say they watched the whole thing of me getting progressively more and more frustrated that they will not click on anything. And that was partly Kevin Smith. And that's where I got a lot of my leads from. So I've always wanted to really meet him and tell him that he helped make me successful. And then he will most likely tell me I want a piece of that action then. But
I love Kevin Smith. I'm a huge fan. Um, so when and why did you move from Livonia, Michigan?
So I mean, Livonia, I moved from Livonia to Grand Rapids. In at Grand Rapids, I that's where I went to school in Grand Valley State. I went to Grand Valley State because they were the only place that told me I could use the film camera equipment as a freshman. So I was like, I'm going in, I'm making a movie. And I had posters up, like school started in September. I had posters up the end of September. Like I was like, we're doing it, casting call. I had a huge turnout. I was able to borrow all the school's equipment, and I was shooting stuff in the first 5 weeks of being there. Did I have a right to shoot stuff? No, but I did it, and that's the important part. So that's why I moved out of there. I moved to New Orleans about 3 years ago. Honestly, I just kind of got convinced that maybe I should use a change of scenery, and I think that's fair. Like I never wanted to stay in Grand Rapids my whole life. And the weather's, dicey and stuff like that. And New Orleans is so fun and open and wild and nuts and great food
Do
and
you miss Tim Hortons?
no, I have a real struggle with all the fast food places and stuff like that. I wish I could blink them out of existence because food in America, man, it's crazy how toxic it is for you. I'm not trying to get on a rant, but I mean, all these health problems, how all of us look, how heavy we are, and stuff like that. The food is literally poison most of the time. I mean, I think the most mind-blowing thing, and that's very out there, but like red dye 40, right? Red dye, like I know it's hard to say a fact anymore, like, but here's a fact. Scientifically, Republicans, Democrats, Bidenists, Trumpists, whatever, everyone believes red dye 40 is a class one carcinogen, right? It is as bad for you as smoking cigarettes. It is in children's fucking Tylenol, man. It is undeniable. Do you know how many countries have red dye 40 banned?
Oh, my wife goes on a tangent all the time about how
It's like everyone. We're the
Skittles is
only
banned in
fucking
most
place.
countries.
Yes. But they can make it with fruit juice. They have it in Canada. They have no red dye 40. And it tastes better. And somehow we can't even agree as Americans to be like, hold on, guys. It's a color. Could we just have our food not toxic for a color? Look, I get it. You go to McDonald's and you're like, oh, this fucking Big Mac's so good and shit like that. And that's fine. You're putting bad food in, but it tastes good. It's the color. Like we can't even get the color out of it. Like, and they have they. I'm from Michigan. You're right next to Battle Creek. They produce the same cereal without it, without the coloring. They send it to Canada. It's made in the same factory, and it's cheaper.
You can't tell me there's not another way to get that color.
There isn't, and that is true. There is actually not another way to get
Oh,
that red
really?
of color. Yes, that is true. There is no substitute for that, and that's the reason they haven't stopped it. But in every country they just supply to, which is all the other countries, they use a combination of fruit juice and stuff like that. It makes the product taste better, significantly better in most blind taste tests, and it's a red. It's red. It's not as bright of red, but like, would you really smoke a pack of cigarettes so that you can have a slightly brighter Skittle or M&M? That's mind blowing to me. It drives me crazy that
That
we
is
can't.
nuts.
Like, why would children's Tylenol have red dye in it, man? That's nuts. Now, this is the most passionate thing I've talked about in a Heroclix podcast, but that's so nuts to me. Like children's Ty just don't make it red. Why? Why does it have to be red? Nobody cares. You're
Right.
swallowing it. Keep it as
What
a
is
fucking SpongeBob.
what is Camp Dragon and what's the story behind it?
Camp Dragon, I started with during COVID as an alternative. Basically, the idea is you can always find a game to play HeroClix on, or not HeroClix, I'm sorry, Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a gaming site, and it uses a lot of real videos for it that you kind of stumble across, so you have a feeling of that. But the difference is, while you can go there and build community and stuff like that, you don't have to come with a ready-made group, right? You can just jump in and doing that. We started at the same time as start playing games, basically. And you know, if I'm being honest, their model was smarter. My model was, I'm running all the games, I'm paying dungeon masters, and their model was it was like a service thing where anybody could run a game. There's no way to check if those games are good, which I thought my product would be superior to, but no, they're like they're making the $100 million and I'm doing okay. But yeah, it's fun. I really love Camp Dragon. You guys should check it out, campdragononline.com. It's so much fun. There's these professional dungeon masters that make the most intricate, unique stories for you. It's incredible. And you
Oh,
can play literally tonight.
bless you.
Thank you.
I might actually check that out because I got a taste of Dungeons and Dragons when I was in Iraq, and we would.
Yeah, we have a
What's
lot of
that?
soldiers play.
What was that?
A lot of soldiers play.
Yeah, we dabbled in it between missions, and then when I came home, I didn't know anybody that played. I just kind of forgot about it. But if there's a way I can play Dungeons and Dragons from home, that'd be awesome.
That's what it is. It's Dungeons and Dragons from home. It's over Zoom and uses Roll20. You know how to use both those things.
So tell me about your other companies, the American Immersion Theater and Murder Mystery Company. What gave you the idea to start them, and is there a favorite memory since their inception?
I mean, a favorite memory is like saying your favorite memory in the last 25 years or so. I've been doing American Immersion Theater now for 23 solid years, which seems like a lot of my stuff started 20 years ago. I'm bad at giving up stuff, I think. Um, So American Immersion Theater is a company that is technically in control of all the other companies. So essentially, it's an umbrella company. Effectively, it doesn't have a product; it has multiple companies. The companies that it runs is Camp Dragon Online, Famous for a Day, which is paparazzi for hire. It's basically a way to, feel like you're famous for a minute, and like people on the street come up to you because we have paparazzi running around saying your name and asking you questions and relating your name to other people. A lot of people buy it for like bachelorette parties, stuff like that. Sometimes congressmen buy it, actually. That's the funny part.
Oh wow!
Murder Mystery Company, which is our bread and butter. That's the one I've been doing the longest. The Princess Party Company, which is exactly what you think. And Atmospheric Entertainment, which is kind of like we provide immersive actors for ideas that other people have. But if they want those like really high-end immersive actors, we can give them to them, get them for them.
That's cool. These are
And
very
as far as a favorite,
unique ideas for a very specific niche.
well, that's the thing about it. Like, when we used to fish, when you used to fish, you had to figure out, like, just you're hoping any fish you can get in your boat. But now we have the internet, and, you can be looking for a very, very, very specific fish, and you just can cast a net the size of the world to catch it. So that's always been my models is, I can't go in and compete with like Walmart or something like that. I can't just be like, I'll build a theme park. One of the best advices I've ever gotten, or something I think about a lot, is one of our original coders said, Scott, you are running an incredibly good company selling the stupidest thing that could not possibly be harder to do. But I'm doing it because that's what I love. I love doing this. I love what I do. I love the product. I love what it does for people. I think immersive theater is transformative. I think we need it. We do so many screens, so much watching stuff. It's mind bending, and we're becoming a nation of voyeurs, just people who are watching stuff. My belief in what we do is empowering people to participate. Since I don't have a favorite memory, I'll just tell you one. One is I was in a show probably 8 years back in New York, and this lady, she had turned 70, I want to say, but we cast her as the femme fatale. So she was like where she had like a red boa on and like a fancy hat, and she actually seduced an audience member as part of the thing. And she came up to me and she's like, I just wanted to tell you that I've been dreading my 70th birthday because I really felt like that was the end of things for me. And thanks to this show, I realized that I still have a few more tricks up my sleeve that I didn't know about. And she kind of like wiped away some tears. And to me, that's what we do and why we do it is we empower people to participate. And I am of the belief that you have one bite of this apple, one chance at life, and to not use every single moment to the fullest, to not truly love what you're doing, to not truly give it everything you got and go after everything you want seems like the biggest slap in the face because there's a lot of people that do not live to my age. In fact, 100 years ago, the majority, right?
Right.
So I've never felt anything less than one of the luckiest men alive, even during the worst times.
Well, you have a lot of interesting quotes on your Facebook page. And the one that caught my eye was, "If you're not over your head, you're not trying," or something like that.
If you're not in over your head, you're not trying hard enough. And that's like the first quote that's me, if that makes sense. Like it was the first time anything's ever made like the wall that of my building that's actually a me quote. And I feel like it's really important. I think it's honestly something sadly that we've lost a lot more in the last 5 to 7 years. But basically, like those times that you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. Well, everybody fucking feels that way. You think Obama went into office being like, I know exactly how to be president. He had never been president. Washington hadn't been president. Like Lincoln had no idea what to do about the war. All these people, they're all in over their head. Every great person that's ever lived started in way over their heads. So I think the problem is people think that like something's wrong. I'm in over my head. And I think that in truth, you're not trying hard enough if you're not in over your head. That's where the adventure really begins, is in over your head. I've done insanely stupid things. I don't know how to write music at all. I want to be clear. Like I am tone deaf. I took maybe 10 years of singing type stuff, and I really can't sing. Like I really can't. I was born with a cleft palate. I am so bad at this kind of stuff. But I had an opportunity to basically have a music lesson from the lead singer of Toad and the Wet Sprocket, which was one of my favorite bands. It was like one of their like, and I had no right to do it. And I'm like, I can't to have him teach me to play guitar. I can't have him teach me to sing. So what I did is I wrote lyrics to a song and had him try to put a melody to it. And he was like, well, this wasn't really the thing. And then he started doing it. And I was so in over my head that moment. But you know what? If you get a chance to talk physics with Einstein, if you get to talk the solar system with Neil deGrasse Tyson, just fucking do it. Do everything because you got the one chance. I'm still slightly embarrassed of how the Toad and the West Sprocket is. That was like a meet your heroes moment, and it went okay. There was moments where like it was amazing, like here he is singing my song, and then there was moments that it was like he went to me and he's like, "Oh, I was hoping it was like I was hoping it was one of the girls," and he pointed to like two hot girls that that were over there because he thought that might be who he was giving a music lesson to, and he was so disappointed that it was me. And there's times where like we kind of butted heads a little bit, which I didn't mean to do, but I was just so ignorant to his craft. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world because I did it. I tried it. And that's what that quote's about.
Nice. I love that quote. Um, when I did Red, White, and Clix last year, I had 2 months to prepare. I had this idea. I've done anything like it before. I've never done any kind of organization or anything like that. I had no idea what I was doing. Paired up with PJ Bolin, and 2 months later, I had 80 people in attendance, and I was
It's,
way over my head. I was so stressed. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks before, but it turned out great, and I loved that I did it. So yeah, I
yeah,
totally agree with that.
I love that. I love that you did that. You know, I can commit to, if you send me your address, I am one of probably the only people that have some extra Scott Crampton and PJ and Lucas Boggs. So I could send you a couple of those for
That'd be
prizes,
fantastic. I
and
part
and
of
we can
the
perfect
part of the event
sign
is
them.
not really an auction, but a raffle where
Okay,
people buy raffle tickets and then they bid on them, and that was a really fun part of the event last year. So if I have something like that I can throw in, that'd be fantastic.
absolutely, man. I'd love that.
Um,
Um, any other questions?
I got more questions. Are you out of time?
I'll have to wrap soonish, but
Okay.
it's okay.
Um, what's the best sandwich?
Hmm. Hot dog. I'm just saying that to piss people off. I don't like what's my go-to sandwich? Man, you know what? I take these questions way too seriously, man. Right now, I'm kind of craving like a turkey tom at Jimmy John's. A good sandwich for me has mayo on it, sodium nitrate free, meat and such. Something from like a Snake River Farms or something like that, like real quality meat. You know what? One of the best sandwiches in the world, the day after turkey sandwich. That is
Oh,
one of the best sandwiches in the world. I don't want the turkey as much as I want the day after turkey sandwich
yes.
for Thanksgiving.
Yep.
The Black Friday turkey sandwich. That is a good sandwich, sir.
I'll just skip to the end here. I got 3 more questions. Three.
You got it.
All right.
You got it.
My favorite question is, what number am I thinking of?
77.
No.
Okay.
All right.
I was decisive.
So I don't know how much of the other podcasters you pay attention to, but are you familiar with the alter egos of, you met Wespool, Miles Kane and Uncle Miles, Ryan Redmond and Reb Gorn. What would be your superhero alter ego?
Um, Scott Starr, probably. I do wrestle, not wrestle, but I shouldn't say I'm a wrestler. I do like managerial work and stuff like that. I run the Dragon Con Wrestling. My alter ego in that is just the evil version of myself, which is Scott Crampton. When I used to have something, I had Scott Starr, which was like full of himself kind of playboy Shawn Michaels type, but back then I had hair. So. Probably the evil version of Scott Crampton is my alter ego that I jump into a lot, the rich asshole guy. I, and sometimes he appears on the podcast too. So,
So with that question, then is: are you Team Wespool or Team Aquamiles?
um, if I'm actually listening to the podcast, so I side with I side with Miles quite a bit. But then he always tries to put the bike on something. And so then I'm going to go because he does that too much. Like every figure is like, well, if you had the bike, and I'm like, the bike's 15 points. Not everybody gets the bike. Not everybody is technically better with the bike. So I'm going to go Team Westpool because
Hey, thank you
you're
very
not going to
much.
add the bike to everything.
I do wonder what he's
And
going to
yes, I
do
am someone.
when the mic rotates out.
There's going to be some other equipment he's going to make. They're better with the Cosmic Cube. And the answer is yes. Everybody's better with other things. Like every figure is better if you equip them.
Well, Scott Crampton, this has been the Clix questionnaire. You are now fully known by the Heroclix community. They are inside your head. They know your soul. How does it feel?
I'm just hoping they don't know about the double homicide I did in Milwaukee in the 90s. Ah, shit. Well, I mean, it's hard to prove who I killed. Milwaukee's a wild place.
Well, it's been great to
Plus,
have you
doesn't
here
even care
tonight.
if somebody dies.
It's a true honor. I
Yeah, man,
consider you
thanks
the
for
biggest
having me.
celebrity
This
that
was
I've
a
ever
lot of
met.
fun. Wow, you absolutely need to go meet somebody else, like maybe the guy who played the Maytag repairman, or have you ever been to a convention? Like they're all over the place. I'm not even F tier, man. I'm one big project away from F tier. That's what I look at. Like I can get to, like because Scott's amazing. It's not a knock on him, but he's a solid B list, right? Like you know him, but he's not Tom fucking Hanks, right?
Right.
Right. So you go further down the list, I'm definitely F, man. I'm a solid F. We referenced a solid Kevin Smith, which is probably a C tier at this point in time. But I'm 5 movies away from being C. So I'm one big break away from being F tier. So you just interviewed the lowest version of celebrity in the world, probably.
Well, I am a
Um,
Scott Crampton fan. So,
Aw,
did you
thanks,
have
buddy.
any final thoughts for the community?
You know what? I appreciate you guys listening to the long-winded podcast that I put together for you. And I'm glad I was happy to answer every question in the 35-minute fashion.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott. It has been an honor to meet you. We actually met briefly at Gen Con 2 years ago. I ran up to you and shook your hand, um,
Awesome.
but you probably don't remember because I was just nobody. But thank you so much for being here.
That's
It's been a
not how
true
I,
honor.
for reference, that's not how my memory works, just so you know. Great to have you on, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you guys all later.
All right. So, to everybody out there in HeroClix land, keep on clixing.
Great Scott!